Hi, my name is Carrie Jurney. I am a veterinarian and I'm a specialist, actually. I'm a veterinary neurologist. I've worked in veterinary medicine for over 20 years. I've been a doctor since 2005 though, so going on 16 years now. This is Maximus Rex. We like to joke that Maximus Rex is half German Shepherd, half black bear. He is my pandemic project, so I adopted him in August of last year. Actually, I was talking to my therapist about how I'd watched everything on Netflix and my life felt really unanchored and it was just work and more work and more work. And she looked at me and she said, "Aren't you a veterinarian? Can't you just go get a dog?" and so I did. And he has brought tremendous joy to my life. He is a big ham and structure too. You know, like he needs to get out and exercise, so I go out and exercise. And so he's been really great. He was picked up by animal control on a horse farm. He was chasing horses. And in fact, he has some injuries that indicate that probably he caught a horse at some point and the horse won. But he's a tough guy, and so he came through that okay. But he's definitely, you can tell he's got herding breed in him. So he likes to herd everything. He herds me, he herds my cats. So we have a lot of structure about where I'm allowed to be and where I should go in my house. And we're working on it. We are. He's my buddy. You know, if you've ever had a German Shepherd, you'll know that once they pick their person, you are never alone. I don't think I've had a single meal, breath, step, gone to the bathroom, anything by myself since he came into my life. And it's been a really good anchor. You know, it's been a tough year. And so it's been nice to have somebody who's just there for me all the time, whether I want some privacy or not. You know, I knew from the time I was a little girl that I wanted to be a doctor. I have always been a science nerd. I've always been fascinated with biology and medicine. But I actually, in college, started to work in the human medical field and discovered that people are gross. And I was working at a nephrologist office. You know, we were doing like kidney transplant stuff. And like, you know, I actually like people a lot, but like people would bring in jugs of their own pee and like slosh them up on the counters and say something like, "I made that for you, little lady." And it really just grossed me out, which is funny to me now because I go to work and like literally every single day some dog pees on me and it doesn't bother me at all. It just meant that it was meant to be me in veterinary medicine, right? So yeah, I have so much sympathy for a sick animal. I have so much in my heart to give to them and their pet parents. So it was a good choice for me. I've been in the field a long time, so I think I've experienced a lot of the different challenges in the field. I mean, certainly, you know, I work in a very high-level specialty. You know, I'm a neurosurgeon, and so, I mean, most people don't even realize my job exists. And so, like, people are like, "You do dog brain surgery?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do," and that's awesome, and it's absolutely my passion, but it's also really expensive, and it's really dangerous and really scary, and like, I'm a certified adrenaline junkie, and I love my job, but also my job is pretty dramatic. And like, there are a lot of people who come into my practice every day and they don't have a financial plan for their pet. They don't have realistic expectations about what I can do. I'm not God. You know, I have trained a long time and I work really hard, but I can't fix everything. And so learning to kind of deal with some of those expectations and working around, you know, the financial realities of working in medicine has been a real challenge. I think I deal with them a lot better than I used to. It's a little too common in veterinary medicine to hear the phrase, "If you really loved animals, you would do it for free." I've dedicated my whole life to animals, my whole life. But I have to eat, and I have to pay rent, and now that I'm a practice owner, I have to pay my staff a living wage, and that's really actually hard to do in our profession. So, you know, with time, maturity, therapy, all those things, like I've learned to like process that a little bit and help those people kind of see our side of it. But day after day, especially when you're working as hard as you can, like it's really tough. I'll share a story about how people's behavior online affects veterinarians. I was in a really challenging situation. I had a patient that was actually intentionally poisoned. I don't think I slept for a week. I was at the hospital 24 hours a day with my patient. Another doctor and I were with him 24 hours a day. He was very sick. I'd go online and there were these stories everywhere, which just makes you feel like you're under a microscope. And people would comment on the stories, things like, well, I looked that up and that toxin isn't that dangerous and those vets just may not know what they're doing. I'm one of 300 boarded neurologists in the world. I promise you I know what I'm doing. And that person just wasn't thinking, but like, it hurt. I mean, this was almost 10 years ago and I still remember it, right? And like, that dog died. And I almost left the field. It was really, really hard to read the comments online. People who, they were just on Facebook, on whatever, just talking. But like, I'm a real person who really gave it my all, like I didn't shower for a week, like I really left it all on the table to try to save that dog's life. It was really hard, like to be working that hard and to also deal with like the court of public opinion. It was a really hard lesson in like social media and veterinary medicine. Yeah, I mean, I will say at that point, I was really bad at getting support. I was really, really bad at getting support. I think a lot of people that work in the field, we're helpers, right? And so our impulse when we're suffering is to help other people. And so like I would just give and give and give until I basically didn't have anything left. I'm now a lot better at taking care of myself, a lot better. I have a great therapist. I have my support group. I'm the president of an organization called Not One More Vet, and we have support groups for veterinary professionals, which is really nice because you can just go on there, at 10 p.m. after you get home after your crazy day and talk to somebody who like gets it, right? Like I love my husband. He's a great support structure for me as well, but like he's a software developer and like he passes out at the sight of blood and like, there are a lot of things I just can't share with him, or even if I can share them with him, because he's a pretty like battle-hardened veterinary spouse at this point, like even if I can, like he doesn't get it. And so like the support of my colleagues has been really, really tremendous, really tremendous. I think, learning to take care of myself, learning that I do need to take time off of work, that I do need to go on vacation, that I can't stay at work for 24 hours in a day, that I will be a better doctor to my patients if I'm taking care of myself, has made me really step up and do that. And I am a much happier doctor, and I think I'm a better doctor. I think everybody's gonna do their job better when they've gotten some sleep and rest and like are taking care of themselves, maybe drank some water, stuff like that, like you can't live on just coffee, I found out the hard way. So yeah, I mean, learning to take care of myself and really putting like focus on that. Like I had to make it my job to take care of myself because otherwise I was just gonna take care of everybody else. A couple of things that people could do to help out their veterinary teams is first, see us as a team. You're on our team too. Like we're all there for your pet, right? 100%. I have never met anyone who went into veterinary medicine for any other reason than helping animals. And so we are there to help you. Please let us do it. Please help us help you. Please have a financial plan for the medical care for your pet. Our industry is financially starved. We all want to help so much that we've kept wages so low that we don't have enough supplies. It's a really bad cycle in our industry. And it's all because we're trying to help knowing that people have budgets, and we get it. So if you could have a financial plan for your pet's medical care, that would be amazing. And it's way easier to get those plans in place in advance. I worked in an emergency hospital since I was 17 years old, and I'll tell you, like, that's not the night to be figuring out your plan. And so, and then patience and kindness. The last year has been especially busy and especially rough, and I have been so much more cognizant and appreciative of my clients who can just be patient with us, especially those of us who work in emergency, but even people who work in general practice. When an animal comes in that's very, very sick, we have to see them first, even if you have an appointment. And so I get being frustrated. I'm a punctual person. So like I get like showing up to an appointment and being told there's a wait, like that sucks, right? But there's always a reason. There's always a reason. And I appreciate so much when my clients can be patient and thoughtful. And hey, if you can't wait, that's cool. Just let us know. We'll often work with you to figure out a solution. I think the entire world has had a bad year. I think that's pretty safe to say, right? I see people on one of their worst days. When you meet somebody like me, your dog is paralyzed or seizing or something really scary. And I have seen that stress on my clients. I've seen it, right? Like, I have seen probably every stress reaction out of a human being that you could see. And like some people get really nice, some people get really sad, some people get really angry. And I've seen all of them this year and they've been turned up to 11. I also know that my staff is living in the exact same world that my stressed out clients are, and they're really stressed out too. And it got way, way busier. I'm far from the only person who adopted a dog in the pandemic. In fact, it has been hard to get dogs. So many people have adopted dogs, and that has made veterinary medicine the busiest I've ever seen it in 20 years. And so stressed out people, burned out people, working as fast as they can. It's been rough. And then, you can't socially distance in a vet hospital. If two people are working on a dog, we can't be 6 feet apart. This is probably the biggest dog, that's been in this place today. He's a huge dog, but he's if we're gonna get blood from him or do something to him, we have to be close to each other. And if one person in a veterinary hospital gets COVID, everybody they worked with that day has to quarantine and things. And so you take a short-staffed, incredibly busy hospital and you cut it in half. I'm a single doctor practice owner, and I got COVID at work. And I couldn't see any of my patients for 2.5 weeks. I figured out telemedicine from my bed to try to help my patients and also to keep my staff employed. So it's been a rough year, for sure. This is the one where I'm gonna cry, Maximus. So when I think about challenging days that I've had, there's one that will always stand out. I had been working in a practice. I was buying in to be one of the owners of the practice. So I had a lot of responsibility to our employees. And there was one of our employees who wasn't doing well. She is a brilliant surgeon. She's literally one of the best I've ever worked with, but she had a lot going on in her personal life, and she was struggling. And on this Thursday afternoon, she called me in to the OR with her. There was a young dog. It had a really weird disease. And she'd actually just gone back in on a second surgery to try to figure out what was going wrong with his lungs. And the dog was dying and she needed help. And please believe when you call the neurologist into a chest surgery, things are not going well. So I scrubbed in, and my friend and I were working as hard and as fast as we possibly could, right? Every neuron in my brain was working on that dog who was dying in front of me. And I will never forget that her hands just stopped. And she looked at me and she said, "Carrie, if this dog dies, I'm gonna quit my job, I'm gonna go home, and I'm gonna kill myself." And I didn't know what to do. I've worked in emergency medicine for dogs my whole life, but this was a person emergency. But I did my best, and supportive family and a supportive therapist, we were able to help my friend. But that's actually when I started to take care of myself, because it made it real for me. This wasn't just some boring compassion fatigue article I was reading in a veterinary magazine, right? This is my friend, this is my life. And it made me take a really hard look at myself and be oh, I'm not okay either. And I just really wish that it didn't have to get to that, to knock some sense into me. And so I work pretty hard now with Not One More Vet to make sure that people take care of themselves before they get to that point. I think your first 3 years in practice are maybe some of the hardest years of your life, and nobody really tells you that. Because not only are you cementing a tremendous amount of medical knowledge, right? We don't just practice medicine. Most veterinarians actually practice every specialty of medicine, and they do it on more than one species, right? So it is a lot to learn. So you're still solidifying all that knowledge, and then you're also learning all of the stuff that you don't really learn in vet school: communication stuff, dealing with upset clients, dealing with schedules, managing staff. It's a lot to learn. And so those first 3 years are stressful. And they're always gonna be, I think, a little bit stressful, just because you're new and you care about your job, and there's always gonna be some stress there. But that stress means you have to work harder at taking care of yourself. I think everyone I've ever met in the profession, their first impulse when things aren't going well is to work harder and to skip all of the important stuff that you need to do to take care of yourself. And the reality is that if you work in this field, you chose. Nobody made you become a veterinarian. You chose a really wonderful, but also really stressful profession. And that means you have like a responsibility to take care of yourselves. And nobody's gonna do it for you. Like, it's your responsibility. And you have to take it as seriously as you take all those other things in your day, all those appointments for pets, all of that other stuff you do. Like, you have to take some of that time for yourself as well.